So when it comes to the Switch Pro, everyone keeps talking about all these rumors and leaks and analyst predictions, but I just want to go ahead and take it a step further, and I'm just going to go ahead and predict what this thing's going to look like and what it's going to come with.
Yeah. Oh boy, I really hate going back and watching old videos. It is, just cringe city. I hate it. But I had an idea the other day. I made a video. It was about 2 years ago, and believe it or not, even 2 years ago, we were talking about the Switch Pro, and I decided to make a video on what I thought the Switch Pro was going to be. Now, obviously, we got the OLED. It's not a Pro. Some of the things I said in that video came true with the OLED, the bigger screen. That was about it. I think at that time we thought we were getting screens from Sharp, which I don't think that actually panned. I don't think that panned out. Either way, I wanted to revisit this idea. I wanted to just kind of update this video a little bit and maybe take another stab at trying to guess what a Switch Pro or a Switch 2 is actually going to look like. Because I did say some things in that video, while maybe not something that's going to come true, still some things that I actually really like the idea. So I'm gonna take some stuff from that video. We're gonna use, some updated information that we at least think that we have, and we're gonna try to put together what the Switch Pro will be, what it's gonna look like, what it's gonna ship with. It's gonna be wrong. It's definitely gonna be wrong, but this will be a fun one, and I wanna hear in the comments below, I want all of you guys, if you've seen that video, let me know. Let me know if you've been around that long, because that was a while ago. But before we jump into today's video, I need to tell you about the sponsor. And if you've noticed my t-shirt or my hat, you already know who it is. It's Into the AM. And I have to admit, I'm super excited to have them on board. You guys know I love my black t-shirts. It's something that I wear all the time. A plain black t-shirt. Into the AM has those, as well as awesome graphic tees like you see right here. They have so many cool designs, but like I said, they also have the basics. And it's not just black t-shirts, they have other colors as well. You're probably seeing a lot of those right now. But not only are they really great looking t-shirts, they just have really nice stuff. The apparel is it's very nice. Not only is it very nice, it's also affordable. They're running a special right now. You can get 3 graphic tees for 60 bucks. You can get 3 basic tees, which are the ones I'm telling you about that I love so much. Those black t-shirts, they have other colors. Don't worry, black's not your thing. They got others. 3 basic tees, $49.95. Now, I'm gonna have a link down below where you can get 10% off of these extremely comfortable t-shirts. So make sure you go down there after this video, click that link, check them out. They really are extremely comfortable. I'm super happy to have them on board. So thank you to Into the AM for sponsoring this video. Link down below. All right, so let's get into this. I want to go back on some of the stuff we talked about in that video 2 years ago. Now, at the time, they were talking about how we were gonna have this magnesium alloy body. We didn't really see that with the Switch OLED, and that's another thing I want to talk about too. This video was made before the pandemic, and I think the pandemic had a little bit to do with this whole Pro model thing and why we did get the OLED instead. Now, this is just a thought. It's obviously not fact. It's just my thought. I'm thinking that the parts that they needed were no longer really easy to get. So instead of trying to make new parts, they already had these things manufactured. They already had the screens. They decided instead of trying to beef this one up, I think they just decided, let's go ahead and put these same parts back in. We'll make it the OLED. They had to do something. I think it was already in production. Something had to be done. They weren't gonna be able to do the parts. So honestly, I think the whole magnesium alloy body thing is out. I think we're looking at what the Switch Pro body may be. Now, it may be different now. They may have just used this one for the OLED, and now they have something else that they're working on for this next Switch. It still could be a magnesium alloy body. I don't know. I'm thinking not. We're gonna get more into the body later, but I think there's still gonna be some surprises there. Now, another thing I think I talked about in that video, which we actually already got, is Bluetooth. So I think we're gonna get a little bit better Bluetooth, because the problem with the Bluetooth in the Switch now is it is pretty limited. You can only have so many things hooked up to it. You can't use it in certain situations. I think they need to improve that a little bit, but that was something that I was really hopeful for. They just threw it in, it just works now, so it's already there. That's not something we're gonna have to add in. I think that's already there, but I think it will be improved upon. Now, one of the things I did talk about in that video, which I still find to be at least an interesting conversation, is the fact that the Switch Pro might not have Joy-Cons. It probably will, honestly. Looking at what they've done now, looking at the way that they're moving forward with the OLED and everything that they've done, I think it probably will have Joy-Cons and they'll probably be the same ones. I don't think they're gonna go very far away from this whole Joy-Con system that they have right now. In the Lite, yeah, obviously, we don't have that. But I think there is a slight possibility that we get something like a Switch Lite, but just bigger and nicer, more along the lines of what the OLED is with that same screen. And we'll get to the screens in a second too. That's something, I think we're good on screen, right? I think we're good. They could use those same screens just in a big one-piece body. I really do think that would be the way I would like to see them go. I don't really care about taking the Joy-Cons off and handing one to somebody else to sit on the couch and play. Honestly, even if I'm out and we're doing some type of tabletop type thing, I'm still not using the Joy-Cons. I don't know about you. I don't like turning a Joy-Con sideways and using it like that. It's not comfortable in any way. I get it. If you're in a pinch, fine. It's not comfortable. It's not ideal. And someone who's gonna be buying a Switch Pro or, the top tier expensive Switch, I don't think they're gonna be really worried about doing that either. So while I do think, I'll go back and say, I think we're probably looking at Joy-Cons. It's a possibility. We might not get Joy-Cons. It might just be one piece. I would like that better. I would still like it to be metal. I think it would be very cool if it was metal. I don't know if they're gonna do that, but one piece, I'd be down for that. Now let's jump back onto the screen part of it. I think honestly, while I would like better performance, we'll touch on that next, but I think honestly in handheld, 720 is fine. Even with the larger screen on the OLED, 720p is fine. It's so small, you don't really need 1080p. Yes, could they push it to 1080p and it look even better? They could. I don't see that as something that's necessary really though. With a screen that size, I don't feel like it's something that we have to have. I think as long as these games are running better, as long as we have better frame rates and they're actually running 720 instead of lower, because that's the thing. There's only a few games that actually run 720 handheld. I think one of them's Mario Kart, but there's not many that actually get to 720p handheld or 1080p docked. That's just what it can go to. We don't actually see that. So if we had games running better frame rates, actually hitting 720, I think that's fine for this screen. I think that's totally fine. If they want to bump it to 1080, cool, sure. Why not? Let's do that. I think our biggest thing, and I think you guys know where I'm going with this, is these rumors of the DLSS technology. We need that to be involved here. This is something we definitely need to be happening. We need better resolution. We need better frame rate, docked especially. And it can definitely be done with DLSS technology. It can be done. I would like to see the 1080 docked go to 4K. I don't see why we can't do that. There's still that thing. We don't know what that extra chip inside the new dock is. And I did say that in the other video too, that we would get a new dock. Maybe this is that dock, because again, whatever's in there, it is something I believe that has something to do with upscaling. Maybe it's not for what we think it is. Maybe it's something we'll see later down the line. But I think, I really do, I want to see 4K docked. I think that's fine. 4K TVs are now basically the standard. They weren't. They just weren't. When the Nintendo Switch came out in 2017, a lot of people had 4K TVs, but there were still a lot of people who just didn't have a 4K TV, and if they did, maybe they had one in their house. Now, it's hard to find a TV that's not 4K. You're more hard-pressed to find a TV that's 1080p than you are to find one that's 4K. They're harder to find. It's dead technology. We've moved on. We're going to, 8K now. Things are moving forward. 4K it's not a lot to ask, especially docked. I think we're definitely gonna get that. And I think it is gonna be through DLSS. How exactly they're gonna implement that, your guess is as good as mine, but I honestly think that we are fine with 720 handheld still. But let's move on to what we're gonna get with the Switch Pro. Now, obviously, if we can use this new dock that came with the OLED, it's got whatever's in this next dock, cool. I think that's probably what it was. They were trying to get these new docks out there a little bit, so I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll offer this thing as just a handheld. Maybe you don't have to buy a dock. I highly doubt that, but I think they were trying to get this new dock out into circulation a little bit before they started before they started really pushing towards, you know, this Pro model. I think like I said, everything changed with the pandemic, that they kind of reworked their ideas of what to put out, what not to. I think that dock is still part of the long-term plan. Now, something else I said in this video, and again, if you've watched it, you already know what I'm gonna say here, but my whole thing with the One Piece Pro model is, you know, if it doesn't come with Joy-Cons, how are you gonna play it on a TV? And I still think if it's One Piece and it is a Pro model and we're going to be paying a premium price for it, I would really like to see it come with a Pro controller. I don't see why it can't. Every other home console, everything else comes with a controller, and if you're not gonna have detachable Joy-Cons, which again, it might, then you do need a Pro controller. I think that would give it that Pro feel, you know what I mean? It would give it that, this is why you're spending, I don't know, $450 on it, maybe $500, who knows what they're gonna charge for this thing. We've already got the OLED out for $350, so we know this thing's gonna be at least $400. My guess at this point, probably $450. You need to include a controller at that point, especially with the issues that we have with Joy-Cons and drift. You really need to put in a Pro controller, I think. So one of the few small things that I did want to touch on is the battery life. That's one thing. I'd like to see better battery life, but I think honestly at this point, the battery life we had with the OLED, I'm fine with it. I think it lasts a long time. When you look at something like the Steam Deck and really any other handheld PC, nobody else is even close. And I think with DLSS, if we're using that, if that's actually what they go with, you don't have to worry about it, you know, pushing the hardware so much where you're just draining battery. So I think better battery life is possible, but honestly, it's not really high on my list at this point. I'm pretty happy with what we have now. As long as it doesn't get worse, I think it'll be fine. And the other thing I do kind of want to touch on here is when. That's been the question. It's been the question for literally years now. We still don't know when this thing is coming or if it's coming. It sounds like there's something in the works, that we might see something at the end of the year. I still think the Switch Lite OLED is probably the next thing. I could be totally wrong about that. I figured we would have seen it in July. July is pretty much over, if not over by the time you're watching this video, and we didn't get anything yet. I just feel like that's the next one in line, but I just have this feeling that the Switch Pro or whatever it is tied to Breath of the Wild 2. I really think those two things will be released at the same time. You know, we didn't get a Zelda with the OLED, but we got a Zelda with the original Switch. We got a Zelda game with the Lite. We got Link's Awakening. Breath of the Wild 2 is gonna be big, and this Switch Pro is gonna be big too. People want this thing. People want more power. They want better frame rates. They just want a little bit better experience. But guys, I wanted to revisit this old video. I thought it was fun. I liked the conversation then. I like it a little better now. We've got a little bit more information, whether it's right, wrong, who knows. Let me know what you guys think about all this down in the comments. Thank you to Into the AM for sponsoring. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like, make sure you're subscribed. See you in the next one.